It's dorkshelf.com.
You're now rocking with TDF Everything. Spoiled Rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hey.
It's Spoiled Rotten.
Yep.
That's a podcast hosted by me, Daniel.
And Ben.
Excellent. This is of no concern to the audience, but I've positioned myself in a horrible spot, and I won't be able to talk properly unless I move my chair.
No.
But having said that, let's move on to what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, today we've got an action-packed episode for you today.
Yeah. All right, let's do this. Solo
The
trailer.
Han Solo trailer. What are you thinking about it? I mean, I'm
fine.
watching this, and it's
fine.
underwhelming to me.
Is it? Yeah, I think nothing can be underwhelming because, and here's not what, this isn't what am I trying to say here? They've made me not care, so I can't be underwhelmed. As soon as I heard they were switching directors, and we even had an episode about going into why that may be, what's going on, I realized they are going to try and make something as close to Rogue One as possible. So it's more of a safe bet in that sense. Like I know Rogue One has its staunch fans. I just think it's a good movie. I'm not in love with it, and I feel like that's what's going to happen here. I'll see a good movie that I'm not in love with.
I agree. In regards with this kind of movie, and I hope we're both wrong, because I think we have a very similar outlook on this, in the sense where for me personally, it's very difficult for me to get invested in and care for these characters where I know what the end goal is. It's supposed to bring him to a new hope. Now, realistically speaking, this could have been a franchise of its own, but because of the fact that they fumbled it so bad, maybe not, and maybe it's just going to stay the one franchise.
The one movie. Yeah.
So,
I think so. I have always, like, my entry point into Star Wars has always been Han Solo, but like I haven't like invested in him the way I would imagine someone like you has.
Correct.
So like what someone said who has invested more than I have, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I like him. He's a cool guy. He shows up when he needs to. He's the cool guy. Yep. Great, love him. He said what he liked about Han Solo was in the first movie, he was someone that was kind of like, you could, like, there was room to believe he was making it up as he was going along. Like, this wasn't like I've been here before. It was like, I talk a big game, but what you like about him is that when it comes down to it, he actually steps up to the plate. And as you see in the original trilogy, he actually executes. And maybe he had never had to do that before because he was just a guy smuggling ships or smuggling things on his ship. What that person said was this trailer kind of takes that away from you because you see him basically doing everything or at the same level he would be doing in the original trilogy.
That's exactly
so by the time, if you were to watch this chronologically, like 20 years from now, it would be like, well, yeah, of course Han Solo can do all this stuff. Yep. It kind of takes away from the fun of those first movies of being like, oh, like, yeah, this guy's really, oh man, like how resourceful is this guy, instead of just like, well, it's probably like muscle memory by this point if he's doing all this stuff, like shooting people on a train, flying ships, like in these specific environments that like, yeah, of course he can do this stuff.
No, and that's exactly how I feel about this, is the idea that what I was really looking forward to this movie, and I don't get from the sense of the trailer, and hopefully I'm wrong, but the issue with this is that it seems like they're trying to, and Disney has said this themselves with Alden Ehrenreich, is that they're trying to match the Han Solo we see in A New Hope as much as possible. So what we have at that point is a character that just does not grow until we get to Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
And that's such a big issue to me because he needs to be able to be like this dropout from the Imperial Academy. What do I do? And then rebuild his life, and then, oh my God, I found smuggling, and then therefore he just goes forward. And the reason why Han is one of my favorite heroes in the entire Star Wars franchise is because of the fact that he represents something that he truly is in the middle of everything, and he doesn't make a decision until he's like fully fleshed and like gets all the information that he needs to make a decision that like works best for him. So the idea of like in A New Hope, he's like, oh, you know what, like I've flown from one end of this galaxy, I've seen a lot of shit, there's no such thing as the Force, to all of a sudden being like, you know what, may the Force be with you, and genuinely meeting an Empire. And then in obviously the Force Awakens, he's just like, real. Yeah, it's all real, and he's all grizzled and everything. He fully believes it. Not the religious aspect. He's like, no, but it's real kind of deal. Yeah. So it's the idea that he can do something, and he's never, including an Empire, he just doesn't hesitate. Like in Cloud City, he sees Vader, he just pulls out his blaster, immediately starts shooting. That's what I loved about the character. He had instinct, he had thought, he had a lot of these things, but you put him in this role, and you're not going to expect any character development throughout this entire movie from what the trailer makes it look like and what the interviews are saying. So
someone said that because one of the early things that was said about this movie is like, you're going to find out how Han Solo got his name, is that at the end of this movie, Alden Ehrenreich dies, and like de-aged Harrison Ford is like, I'll take this. I'm Han Solo.
That would be so good.
But yeah, in all seriousness, it's fine. Whatever. It's gonna look cool, I guess. I don't know. I'm not I don't know if I've said on this podcast, but I've never really been that excited about a Ron Howard movie.
No, never. I've been excited for movies that Ron Howard has happened to direct, and then at that point in time, I was like, oh.
Yeah, but this is a Star Wars movie, so it kind of, what are you going to do? Yeah. I just think that it's probably just going to be a movie. This is not going to be an event. This is not going to be...
You're absolutely right.
I think that's why I feel like nothing's going to underwhelm me. They've already set my expectations, probably unfortunately for them, that I'm just going to watch some stuff to fill the time.
Yeah, and I think that's a little bit of what I'm expecting too. Is like, oh, this is another movie to fill that 30-year time gap between episode 3 and episode 4.
So, who do we think Emilia Clarke's Kira is?
I don't care at this point.
I thought for the sake of the podcast we could get into it, because we haven't really talked about the trailer. We just kind of talked about nebulous things.
Yeah,
because she starts off the trailer. She seems to be the linchpin of this marketing campaign. She's even listed before Alden. I'm not saying his last name. I'll say it the way you say it, even though it doesn't seem like it's spelled like that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's...
Einreich. That's how this podcast says his last name until further notice.
And we've established many episodes thematically that we're not good with phonetic name pronunciation.
Yeah, like I feel like Kira gets way more play than Solo or anyone in these trailers. Yeah. So like, it's clearly she knew him from before. But like, are they saying they're the same age, or?
I think they're the same age. What I feel like they're doing is the marketing campaign's like, listen, a lot of people
like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like a lot of people don't like what this Aldrin guy is doing. Let's put something that people love, which is Donald Glover and Emilia Clarke, up in front and center, and use their brands to sell this a little bit more, because people genuinely like both those actors.
Also, we got our first sound of L337.
Yep.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge from Fleabag.
Yeah.
I always said I was going to watch that show, and then I never did. Maybe I'll watch it after the movie. Who knows?
My biggest thing here, the one thing the trailer does do, and this is like a real like Easter egg for like huge Star Wars fans.
So clearly went over my head.
Huge.
Yeah.
You get to see Chewbacca's wife, and that
some people said it might be his son though.
I don't know. It looked like a romantic thing, but of course, like compared to like I love you versus like we don't.
I
know
mean,
what's
he could be
on.
saying I love you to both of them.
It's true.
Yeah. So I guess we've got our answer to who Omar was going to play. What's his real name? Michael K. Williams, because he got replaced by Paul Bettany.
Yes.
It's weird because he's got scars all over his face, and Michael K. Williams famously has that big scar going down his face just without makeup. Yep. And I was like, I guess they were probably happy when they had him.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. Just completely cut out of the, like...
I know, right?
Like... He had a diplomatic response to it at first, and then I saw a headline where he was just like, "I guess I just have to laugh," and I was like, "Oh man, he probably wanted to be in it."
Yeah, he devolved really, really quickly.
Tandy Newton, not Fandy. She's in it. I don't know much of her, but she seems. Is she on Woody Harrelson's side? Mm-hmm. I'm not using character names. Sorry, we
just don't even know the character names.
Well, I'm looking at the cast list. I could see the character names, but sorry. Woody Harrelson. Do you think he's gonna die?
Yeah, probably not. No.
I mean, everyone could die other than Han and Lando and Chewie, because they're not going anywhere with these movies. This is the last time they're doing.
No, but they're not going to do another Rogue One situation, because the thing is,
everyone dies in that.
Yeah,
though.
Everyone dies.
Whereas there's at least 3 people here who can't die.
Yes, the reason why I think that Woody Harrelson doesn't die is because he's clearly the Slimer, and Slimers don't die. I feel like
Slimer with a heart of gold always dies.
True.
He makes a sacrifice at the end, and you're like, oh, this is what pushes Han Solo to be a good guy, even though you shouldn't push him that way in this movie. But clearly that's how this arc has to go.
I don't know. I don't know if he dies or not. He just doesn't seem like the type of guy that would just get involved. He's like, okay, well, here's the job that I want you to run. Do it, and here's your money. Or not. Pulled the rug out underneath you. I'm more interested to see whether or not I'm going to see Jabba the Hutt or Boba Fett in this. At least cameos or interactions. That would be fantastic to me. That would pick up the movie at least like 1 point on the rating scale.
I'll hold you to that.
Yeah, no, seriously, because if they did that, that would actually be fantastic.
So final question before we move on.
Yes.
Do you think Han screws over Lando or Lando screws over Han in this movie?
Han screws over Lando. For sure, Han screws over Lando.
Because
he
that
wins the
line,
Millennium Falcon.
Because of that line, like, you got a lot of nerve showing your face.
Exactly. You got a lot of nerve showing your face, and we know that Han wins the Falcon off of Lando. So Han's going to do something slimy to win it off of Lando for sure.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know why I just always see them as good friends, even though there's not much screen time of them being good friends.
I feel like it's one of those
I just want them to be good friends,
Yeah.
but I guess if the movie would end with Lando being like, fuck that guy.
I think it's one of those
I want them to
thing.
be friends. I wanted to be like, ha, I get why he did this. And then him like give him a thumbs up as he flies off the Millennium Falcon.
Yep.
I don't want him to screw over Han Solo. Which sucks.
I think Lando's gonna try.
Yeah.
And then Han's gonna get his way out.
Do you think they'll be friends at any point in this movie?
I think so.
Because I guess they have to establish that they could at least be frenemies.
They're definitely frenemies in this. There's no way that they can't be frenemies here.
Let's move on to our predictions, which I thought I was going to write down, but I clearly did not. So I'll let you start.
So right now, like I said, we are so excited for Infinity War, and we will be recording an Infinity War spoiler-filled episode in 2 weeks from now when it comes out. So that is your first warning. We will warn you throughout the entire thing, and we know how important it is for a lot of people. We will continuously warn you.
No, I just want to say something. I have no idea why any podcast or YouTube video channel bothers with being like, we're going to do spoiler free, then spoilers. Why? Like, what do you think's happening? You think someone just do the spoilers? You be like us, just do the spoilers.
I think it's just like this.
It's greedy,
cowardly way of getting everyone's attention, but at the same time not delivering on any content, and then just maybe like expanding.
Yeah, like because every time I hear someone be like, "Oh, we're gonna do spoiler free first," it's just a bunch of them being like, "Oh, can't say that. It's a spoiler. Oh, can't say it." I'm like, yeah, it's happening in like. The sooner you get through this charade, you can just get to the content. Mm-hmm. So I'm putting my foot down. Yep. It's nuts to you, idiots. What are you doing? Yeah, just do the spoilers. It's just, people are going to click on you if they like you, no matter what. Yeah. So just do the spoilers. I have no idea why I, as a person with a brain, would be like, oh, what's this, Infinity War? I haven't seen it yet, but I definitely will listen to this. Hopefully they do spoiler-free first. Anyway, let's get into this. Infinity War, there's no warnings. We haven't seen the movie yet, so this is not a spoiler.
Yeah,
this is our predictions. This is speculation.
And if we do get some of these right...
Good for us.
Then we are geniuses. There you go.
Okay, let's do death predictions first.
Death predictions. All right. I have death predictions. Vision, War Machine, and Captain America. That's who I got dying.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would agree with Vision. I would say Loki.
Oh yeah, and Loki. Easily Loki's dead.
I really do think it's Iron Man that dies in this.
Really?
I think Gwyneth Paltrow has been doing a lot of look at these behind the scenes pictures where it looks like she clearly has the thing they put on people for suits, and she's going to be full rescue in the fourth one.
Don't like that.
So I do think Iron Man's going to die. I think, especially since in the comics now he's the AI.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you don't have Robert Downey Jr. anymore. It just means he's not physically there. So I do think
he's getting better at negotiation, putting in all that.
That's the other thing. I think he's negotiated with them enough time for them to be like, "Fuck you, we're done.
Yeah.
Like, it's it. You cost like $200 million alone." Just
Well, I mean, there is that one scene from the trailer where he's like on Titan and he's got his armor like completely destroyed.
and I hope they remember you.
Yeah.
I think,
but of course,
they also show Captain America going 1-on-1 with Thanos, so it's that's also a save. But I just don't think he will. I feel like he'll definitely die by the end of this, like the fourth movie. I just think I know they could very well do this, but I don't see the point of being like, and then Hawkeye steps up to the plate and he's the one who leads them into the fourth movie. I'd be like, you still need some kind of figurehead to lead you into the next movie. And I think that's kind of the, aside from me feeling like Steve Rogers deserves a happy ending, like, who knows what's gonna happen, but like I just feel like he's had such a bad go of it in terms of like, like if you see his first movie, that ends on such a downer of
it's such a downer,
and then like his second movie is still like, wait. So
you
the
lost
only thing I
Bucky.
was fighting for was a fucking sham because they're doing exactly what I don't want them to do.
And then also,
the third movie's like, I lost all my friends.
Yeah, you lost all your
except for
friends.
Bucky.
And then his love interest, he gets one kiss, and then he has to go in hiding, and you never hear from her ever again. It's
I just think that if he was able to retire, that would be nice. I know that's probably not in the cards.
No, he's dead.
But and I know it's whatever, but I feel like his statement of "you want to leave before they push you off the train" kind of hints at maybe a retirement, because pushing you off the train would be killing you.
Yes,
but that's why I'm saying you want to leave before they push you off the train.
Yes,
so that's why I'm saying maybe he doesn't die just yet.
Well, I think he's so. From what we do know, time travel is involved in the fourth one, and arguably time travel could be involved in this one, which is what, like,
the Eye of
blah
blah isn't it? Agamotto. I don't know how people pronounce it.
The Eye of Agamotto.
Yeah, but I feel like in the movie it was a different pronunciation.
Yeah, but they can do their own thing.
Anyway, the point is there's time travel, but they also made a point of saying whoever dies in this movie is dead.
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah, I have a hard time being like, I don't believe that for a second, just because, like, what's the point of saying it? But then
I'll tell you why.
Okay, go
later. Well, because I feel like, and this is one of the other predictions that I have for Infinity War, is that in one of the post credit scenes, you're actually going to see Captain Marvel, Nick Fury, Agent Coulson come back, like, present day to join the fight. And with that being said, did it not save? You're going to see them coming back to join the fight. And what's going to happen there? Crap, I lost my train of thought. We were talking about.
Well, I don't want to talk about something else and take you further off track, though.
No. I'll come back to it.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So the only reason you can do time thing, but what I saw when they were doing time jumping, why do I not know the name of it now? Going back in time was just going back to actual scenes from other movies. Yes. So those actors can be there, but it doesn't mean that they're actually doing something different or anything.
That's true.
Because it could be like Captain Marvel going back to like, okay, this is a clue from this thing that happened. That's the only reason why I'm like, they're dead. Like, yes, maybe Robert Downey Jr. gets credited in Avengers 4, but it's for recreating a scene or like giving you a little bit of extra information. But like, it still means he's dead. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like
I see
snapping back into time. It's like, oh, you're alive.
Pull you forward or something.
Yeah, like I think it's like legitimately like we go back.
Yep.
And we can see these actors again, but it doesn't mean their characters are alive.
I see.
And being brought back to life.
Oh,
Here we go.
This is my point about bringing Captain Marvel up and everything like that. So the Captain Marvel movie has the Skrulls in it.
Yes.
And of course, the Skrulls, famous for shape-shifting, I think Secret Invasion they're setting up for Phase 4. And of course, with Secret Invasion, I feel like one of these, you could set up some of these deaths to be like, oh, it was actually a Skrull.
Yep.
What's going on over there? But at the same time, they got a lot of explaining to do, because it's just like, well, can you tell me how the Skrull imposter was able to actually replicate every single thing of this for characters that we've been following a little bit more? And of course, Iron Man, we've been following way more than Captain America since the fallout of Civil War. So to me, it's impossible to have Iron Man be a Skrull replacement. Given all those things, the AIs and all the systems he must set up for security reasons for Iron Man and all that kind of stuff. But so if you think Iron Man dies, then I 100% agree he will die, and I'm pretty sure that Iron Man will die. I just don't think it's going to be in this movie.
So we've decided that you think Captain America this movie, I think
Yes.
fourth movie, you think
Correct.
Iron Man fourth movie, I think third movie.
Yep.
Fair enough.
So we have that opposite switch. Because I feel like there's a very, very good reason why they go back to, because when they're doing those shoots and everything like that for 4, the set leaked photos, or not the set leaked photos, the on-site photos showed Captain America in his Avengers 1 outfit.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not they went back to the Battle of New York or whatever during that time, we don't know. To pull him forward to lead, and then like, no, guys, I got to go back in time, like, or Doctor Strange goes like, no, that's not how this works, kind of deal. We have to deal with this.
Speaking of Doctor Strange, I think he'll be a sleeper spy.
You think he'll be Secret Invasion?
Like against his will, obviously. Like
Right.
they're gonna mess with his head and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's in the comics that he actually when they torture him, which you see in the trailer, he gives up all the spots of where the rest of the stones are.
Right.
Yeah,
it's a very big possibility.
They also show a cape kind of going around, and maybe in the movie it's just his cape that does the hunting for the stones. I don't know. There is a shot in one of the trailers of a cape.
What's your next prediction?
That was it.
I don't
know.
That was
I just had
got.
death predictions of that. I don't know, because they've done a good job of not really giving you story beats in this. Like, you basically know where everyone will be during this movie. There's clearly a New York setting, a Titan setting, and a Wakanda setting.
Yeah. And even then, I'm not convinced the New York setting is like, that's just the first act.
Yeah, but that's all.
Sure.
That's all we've seen. Yeah. So I'm saying we don't know like a story. We don't really know story beats. We just know. So that's why I felt like a death prediction would be easy to do.
Death predictions are
post credit.
Easy to do.
We could
post credit is definitely one I got. One of the things I got is, of course, we have Peter Dinklage that was casted in the movie, but we don't know as what. Now the speculation goes that it could be that Peter Dinklage is one of the voice actors or CGI
of Silver Surfer,
of Silver Surfer, or
I just said that to piss you off.
We're just joking. Of one of the Black Order guys.
Yeah.
Now, I highly doubt that's the case. I actually think Peter Dinklage is going to play Eitri, the Dwarf King of Nidavellir.
To give Thor his hammer back or whatever weapon.
Yeah, that's the Dwarf King. That is the master blacksmith that originally created Mjolnir. And of course, with the 7 realms of like not Asgard, but like Thor was responsible for protecting, or Odin was responsible for protecting. He has to go and get the Stormbreaker, and of course, with that being said, if Thor dies from the Stormbreaker, then I think what's going to happen there is this is way going forward in Phase 4. Thor might die in the 4th one, and then with Thor being dead, they're going to continue the Thor franchise with Beta Ray Bill, because we saw like a snapshot of that in or at least a nod to it in what's it called, Ragnarok, for the Contest of Champions. There was a shot of Beta Ray Bill with the place where what's his face was
Jeff
built.
Goldblum.
Yeah,
I don't know names,
the
man.
Grandmaster.
Yeah, the great. There we go.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I'm also going back and forth on Thor, because they've put the big 3 in like very precarious positions in the
Yeah.
trailer.
Yep.
Like both. All three of them. Like I'm not counting Hulk, and unfortunately, they don't really push Scarlett Johansson,
Yep.
not Scarlet Witch. They don't push Black Widow and Hawkeye
Mm-hmm.
as much as they probably should, considering they were original members of the
They were
team. But
definitely
like
original
in
members,
terms
yeah.
of people who had solo movies, Thor, Cap,
Yes.
and Iron Man,
Yep.
all three of those guys
Yep.
get put at like it looks like Thanos is just going to squash Thor's head.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how he gets out of that. I don't know how Captain America gets out of that fight with Thanos.
Well, I mean, the Thanos Thor thing is very, very easy. He thinks he kills
by
Thor,
throwing him out. But
and he
what
just
I'm saying
throws
is,
him away and he hits the
it's
Guardian
a
ship.
bad move to not just squash his head. Is what I'm
Oh,
saying.
I 110%
Especially since
agree.
it shows that he is squishing. What does he do? Like, no, I'll throw you instead.
But see, this is where I feel like that scene plays out. I feel like what happens is, and this is very, very first act. This is my prediction of what happens in the first act. That Thor and the rest of Asgard on that ship, they're like, "Oh my god, this is happening!" And Valkyrie and Heimdall will escape with the majority of the Asgardians, and then Thor and Loki will stay behind to try to defend and fight and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, they're losing and Banner as well. So what happens is they're all doing that. They're all fighting. Thor gets rid of Banner really, really quickly. Throws him to Earth. He crash lands on Earth. Sanctum Sanctorum.
Do you mean Thanos or Thor?
Thanos throws Hulk to Earth.
Yeah.
And then Thor steps up. He tries to fight as well. Thanos just grabs and crushes his skull. But then what happens is Loki's like, "Stop! I know what you're after." Hands over the Tesseract. And then Thanos is like, "Yes, that is what I'm after." Throws him away.
Yep.
And then kills Loki for
Fun.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
like,
shits
why
and
wouldn't
giggles, the god of mischief. Now, whether or not Loki actually dies, because he is the god of mischief and he could bamboozle Thanos, is a different story, but I feel like he actually dies. in
Yes.
this.
We can
Because
agree on
there's-
Loki
yeah.
dying.
Because
Especially
they-
since they said early on he's going to show why he's a big deal. And I think
Yeah.
people love Loki enough that will be a big deal.
Correct.
The
Correct. And the act of like, okay, like this was the enemy of Avengers 1, and we're actually killing the enemy 1 to show like how much more powerful
threat,
Thanos
yeah.
is. I think that's going to be a big writing element there. So I think Loki is bye-bye in this one.
Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
This is now recorded. We can't change what we said.
No, we can't change it at all. So
Will
if
I
we
review
are
this
right,
before our next thing? Who knows?
Who knows? But next episode, if
But you
any
will
of us
be
are
able to,
right,
the audience.
like I said, we are geniuses, and you should definitely hit that subscribe button. Anyways, the main entree of this episode is, of course,
So we thought, this Fox Disney deal is happening.
yes,
Also, people think by the end of Avengers 4, all sorts of crazy things will happen.
Correct.
Right now, they're really leaning into
Secret
John
invasion.
Krasinski and Emily Blunt being the first
Captain-
family.
yeah, the first
Mr.
family,
Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic,
Because they were great in A Quiet Place, which I haven't seen,
I
but
still
I
have
heard
not
it's
seen
good.
yet, but I need to see that.
Yeah.
I think I'm seeing that today.
And also because they both have been close to being, like, she was almost Black Widow, he was almost Captain America.
Yes.
So, her closer than
Yeah, I
John
don't think he
Krasinski.
was actually really in consideration.
No, he was
He was
putting on his
definitely
suit.
there.
He was putting on his suit, and then he saw Chris Hemsworth and was like, "Oh, they're obviously never gonna hire me." But like, it was to the point of actually doing screen tests. Like,
That's
it
awesome.
wasn't like, "Oh, like maybe we'll see." He was in the building.
I would like to see those screen
Yeah.
tests with him in the suit. Either way, but like what we said, it's no surprise that the X-Men universe, film universe, has always been in trouble from continuity errors, from casting
Recasting people,
decisions,
yeah.
recasting, completely missing the point of
Deadpool.
major storylines, major characters. It's always been in trouble, and of course, a lot of people have always desired the X-Men to be a part of the MCU. Now, you and I share the same kind of opinion that, of course, the MCU and the X-Men franchises can be totally separate and not do anything. But of course, with the Infinity Stones, we can have different dimensions, and that's how it could be fitted in. And of course, with major events like Avengers stuff, we can be like, "Hey, Wolverine, we need your help to fight this guy," and everything like that. So Doctor Strange can go grab one of those guys and come put it to this universe. Very much like how the CW right now writes the Supergirl, Flash, and Arrow and the Legends of Tomorrow franchises, in the sense where Supergirl is in a dimension of her own, Earth 2 or 3 or whatever of her own, and then they continuously jump back and forth between those Earths to get each other's characters, including, of course, Cisco's love interest in Flash and a couple of other things. So, I mean, that's something that could easily be done. And what we thought we would do is help the MCU out a little bit, to recast the entire X-Men universe from characters that we've seen. So right now, what are those characters?
I'll just let you go over it, but I'll list it before we actually say the casting thing.
Exactly.
So right now we're going to do Professor X.
I have 2 people for this. One that I now look at and believe much more than the other.
All right.
Originally I had Hugh Laurie and Mark Strong.
Okay.
Mark Strong is a very, very easy shoe-in. I just thought Hugh Laurie would bring something really interesting to the character.
Yeah. Both very strong actors.
Mm-hmm.
One of them even has it in his name.
Yep.
I really like both of them.
Yep.
I think this one is I clicked in right away with Ralph Fiennes.
Oh, that's a great choice.
We already know he can be bald, but usually people think he's the bad guy. But when he was M in like Skyfall and the lesser good one, what was that other one they just
the lesser good one?
It wasn't Skyfall, but it was
Quantum
something.
of Solace, or I don't know.
No, the one where actually the other person I cast is it.
I think I know
what was that movie called? No, what was that movie called? Oh, whatever. The last James Bond movie that no one liked. It wasn't good. I don't know what it's called. I'll look it up. But yeah, Ralph Fiennes. I think he is great at acting. I used to not like him, but he's hit a real stride.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Good for him.
Actor. I've loved him ever since Red Dragon. That was a fantastic movie.
No, I was just hating on him. He's good.
Yeah.
Like and I think him being like this, because sometimes Professor X can still be a dick.
Yes.
He's not always a great guy, but I think that Ralph Fiennes can do that, and I think
I agree.
Mark Strong, obviously Hugh Laurie can also pull off Usually he's just dick with moments of nice.
Exactly.
But he's an actor. He doesn't have to be that all the time.
So it's very interesting because you right away was like the strongest, because before this we started recording, you were like, Professor X was the first person I cast, like right away.
He wasn't the first person I cast. He was technically the second. He was the first person where I was like, oh, this is the obvious answer for me.
I see.
Yeah, I think it was. I was like, who would you believe is just in control? Like, who that's got stuff going on? Mm-hmm. And I thought that was it.
Yeah, for me, Mark Strong was because of the groomsman. No, not the groomsman. Kingsman portrayals that he's done, and it's just like, oh, you do really well in that, and obviously you look really good bald. So
yeah,
this works for me. I would like it.
And Hugh Laurie, just a good guy.
To me, is just like, you know what?
Who doesn't want more Hugh Laurie?
Yeah, who doesn't? Well, Hugh Laurie's awesome. Of course, that is Dr. House.
Yeah.
That's what I'm referring to.
So yesterday at work, someone was like, oh, do you guys watch Dr. House? And I said, yes, obviously, because I know what she was talking about. Mm-hmm. And someone's like, it's not Dr. House, it's just House.
No, it is Dr. House.
No, it's House MD. In France, it's Dr. House.
Oh, is it?
Just because that's easier.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I would never be able to be like, if someone was like, hey, do you watch The X-Men? I'm like, what do you mean The X-Men? It's just X-Men. Idiot.
It's those grammar Nazis.
Except for she got it wrong because it was specifically Dr. House in France and it's House MD everywhere else.
That's funny.
The movie I was thinking was Spectre. Not a good movie.
Yeah.
We actually reviewed it on this podcast.
We're not impressed.
It was no good. Anyway, and I'm assuming everyone knows who Professor X is. Yes. Like James McAvoy, Patrick Stewart have played him in the past. Next, we're going to go with Wolverine.
Yes.
Now, I'll tell you right now, I feel like everyone knows who he is, so I'm not going to read a bio.
No.
Played by Hugh Jackman. So at first I was like, Joel Edgerton, obviously. This is the obvious choice. And then I was like, wait. You would want some kind of longevity with these movies. And then I realized, Hugh Jackman was my age when he started back in 2000, which made me be like, okay, Wyatt Russell, who is Russell... Nope, that's not his name. Kurt Russell's son. He's in Ingrid Goes West is the only thing I can think of right now. He's in Black Mirror. This guy, he's already got like the beard for it and everything.
I don't see it.
Yeah, man, I see it. I can see it like actually like raging out and going berserker. That guy could do it. He'd have to put on some muscle, I assume.
Well,
but
yeah, that's not the hardest part.
He at this point the same. And I also think part of what I liked with Hugh Jackman's was how warm he could be in certain scenes,
Yes.
and I think this Wyatt Russell guy could bring that as well.
Yeah. To me, Wolverine, there was one choice above all, and I wasn't thinking about lasting ages or anything like that, because my casting choices were definitely a lot older.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot
I
sticking
figured.
closer to the 90s X-Men franchise that I grew up with.
We're not that young, man. 32 is not that.
Yeah, no. But that's the thing. If you don't think of yourself as a 32-year-old, I constantly think of myself as a 23-year-old.
I see.
My Wolverine would have been Tom Hardy.
Yeah,
For sure.
I feel
And I feel like everyone's like, yeah, Tom Hardy's the instant choice. Like, that's the person that people would be happy with taking over Hugh
Grant.
No, Jackman.
Yep, Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, not Grant.
Tried to trick you.
Yeah. Tom Hardy was my obvious choice for that, because we've seen him in all those roles, going berserker, easily is something that he can do. And, to pick up the pieces after the soon-to-be failed Venom franchise, to give him another thing to do.
That's why I didn't
Because
pick
of
Tom
that,
Hardy,
yeah.
because I was thinking, like, are we really casting here? And Tom Hardy is tied up in...
Yep, he's tied up in too
Venom.
much. Plus, we're still waiting for that Mad Max sequel, because he was promised a franchise with that.
Yeah, that's... I mean...
I'm
not going to say it's never going to happen.
It's not never
but,
gonna
like,
happen.
look at the distance in between
It's
the
so
sequels.
much distance. I am full on expecting a Furiosa sequel before I see it. Well, I mean,
No, I'm not.
Mad Max was more of a Furiosa movie than it was.
Yeah, I'm not expecting any kind of sequel anytime soon.
All right.
The next one
Magneto.
is... Yeah.
I think we have one of the same actors. I have two here as well.
Yeah.
I have Mr. Christoph Waltz
Yep.
or Mr. Liam Neeson.
Yeah, I would avoid Liam Neeson, but yeah, I had Christoph Waltz. I felt bad because I was like, he's Jewish is a big part of his role, and
It really is.
but no one Jewish has played him yet, so I felt fine being like, you know what, Christoph Waltz is a great villain that you can kind of root
Fantastic,
for, aka Inglourious Bastards.
This is whether or not he can alter his accent a little bit.
I wouldn't even need him to.
Or not his accent. Sorry, not his accent. His accent's fine. It's the deepness of.
He
his
would
voice.
need more menace. Yeah, you want more bass in his voice.
Yes, more bass and everything like that. But I'm pretty sure he could drop down an octave. I'm pretty sure that can happen. Liam Neeson, I thought would be good because originally, like against Hugh Laurie. That's why I thought that would be a good casting kind of thing. Is that relatively, like, from an age standpoint, they both look the same, kind of withered. To do that, I think would be really, really cool.
And Storm.
I got Kerry Washington.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. My assumption is I went younger than you, but who knows? Kerry Washington, who was famously in Fantastic Four movies,
Correct.
as the blind woman who loves Ben Grimm, and nothing else. She's done nothing else.
She's
Don't
done
talk to me.
nothing else except for Scandal.
No, and she wasn't in Django either. So don't at me with that. I'm just kidding. I don't know why I've decided to do that. Yeah, Kerry
This is
Washington.
like scrub her IMDb.
Yeah,
history.
she's
the
did
blind girl
Fantastic
from
Four.
Fantastic Four, and she needs another role. No, she's. I saw her in a couple episodes of Scandal, which is not a show that I love. Just because
How to Get Away with Murder's better.
Yeah, because the thing is, I'm just not the biggest fan of those kind of shows.
Yeah, procedurals aren't the best.
Exactly, but I watched a couple of episodes, and I'm like, you know what? She is definitely Storm to me. Without a doubt. A lot of people want Lupita Nyong'o, but I'm just like...
Yeah. I wanted a
yeah, I
darker
don't
skinned
think so.
woman.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it hues a certain lightness.
Yes.
So I went Tiana Paris, who she is Dawn in Mad Men. She was
Oh,
also
excellent.
in. She was in Dear White People, the movie, not the TV
Right.
show, as the black woman who wanted to be seen as white, even though her dark skin stops her from doing that. So she
Right.
has blue eye contacts and blonde hair wigs and stuff like that. And
Oh,
I
wow.
think she does a great job with nuance, which you might need with coming off a Halle Berry performance, and even unfortunately Alexandra Shipp,
Right.
who didn't do much for me. Neither of them did, but
No.
I think because I see Storm as pretty much like second in command in most storylines,
Correct.
you kind of want someone who's like strong and can do a lot of different things, which Kerry Washington definitely gives you. But
she definitely does. But you're right. The light skin aspect of Kerry Washington, which is of course like, it is an aspect because of course Storm's character is supposed to be from Africa, where we would expect darker skin tones, where Lupita
except for
Nyong'o
didn't the last movie may like confirm it was like Egypt or something?
Egypt, which is also in Africa too.
No, I know. I'm saying like they're lighter.
Yes.
there.
So that's why I was just like.
But
I
the
think
point is,
Kerry Washington as an actress is
she's
very
great.
strong for Storm. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Next we got Jean Grey.
Am I going first?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So I have someone, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Rachel Brosnahan, I think is her last
Ooh,
name.
Who's that?
She was in House of Cards as
Okay.
the. Did you watch House of Cards?
No, I didn't.
I'm just gonna say for the audience, she was like,
She's the
she
bad
was a
guy.
witness, and Doug. I want to say his name is Doug. It's so hard to remember because I don't watch that show anymore. Thanks a lot, Kevin Spacey.
Yeah,
I'm
you
kidding.
jerk.
I've seen it all. No, but like she was like this homeless woman that not homeless, whatever. The point is, she was in House of Cards. You can look her up. She had a very great story arc on there,
Right.
and right now she's the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is a Hulu show about a woman who like gets into stand-up comedy after her husband leaves her, and it's set, I want to say it's set in the 50s or 60s. It's great.
Right.
She's young, and I think she's a big talent, and I feel like that's a cool role for her to be in.
Yeah.
Alternatively, nope, there's no alternative.
There's no alternative.
I was going to say someone else, and now I've given up on it. That's who I'm sticking with.
My Jean Grey, and this is, I think, it's a safe choice. It's a boring choice, but it's Bryce Dallas Howard.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You did say you were going older.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely older cast for sure. So that's my Jean Grey, and Bryce Dallas Howard. I think would play that very, very well from everything I've seen her in. Yeah.
I don't want to be mean to her, so I'll just say okay. Sure.
All right. Next up, we got, of course, Cyclops.
This one I scrolled through like 10 different
struggled
people.
through, eh?
I was like, this person, no, this, because at the heart of Cyclops, and I know he can be different because I like is it Ty Sheridan? Yeah, the guy from Ready Player One. He's
Yeah.
Cyclops. I liked his Cyclops in
I love
Apocalypse.
that Cyclops. That was great.
But at the end of the day, he's still like kind of getting punked by Wolverine all the time. So it was hard for me to put someone in there that I knew was going to be made to look like an idiot most of the time. He can still have his good moments in solo stories, but when you do like X-Men, like the
Right.
team thing, part of that dynamic is Wolverine constantly punking him. So I was just like, who do I put in there that I don't mind getting punked, but also would look good? And I picked Liam Hemsworth.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, you put on your visors and you can be good, but also you're going to get punked and I won't feel bad about it.
See, to me, I took that into consideration, the whole Wolverine punking, Cyclops and all that kind of stuff. And John Krasinski, the people that, everyone that wants to play Reed
Mr.
Richards,
Fantastic,
I think he would be a better Cyclops than a Reed Richards, for sure. And they're just saying that because John Krasinski's tall, but in my opinion, like, Cyclops being taller, a little bit less,
muscular,
a little bit less muscular, and of
You
course
must
he's
not
put
have seen
on a
him
decent
in,
amount of he's put on a good amount of muscle too.
Who's he playing now? Jack Ryan?
Yes,
Yeah.
I've seen him
And,
do that role.
Was it 13th Hour? No, I don't
Yeah,
remember what the
something like
movie
that.
was. Anyway, the point is, he's got the muscle.
He's got the muscle. Don't get me wrong; it's just
He's
the
going to look
height.
good as Cyclops.
I think the height. I think he would be good as Cyclops, as a natural leader and all that kind of stuff, because of the height and because of his role as Jim. You can see him getting punked a good amount of times, and it's not unusual to the character.
I don't think of Jim as getting punked.
He gets punked a small amount. But of course, when he does,
I don't think that's the over. Like, I don't think
it's
when people
not the
think
overall.
of Jim, they
No.
think of the guy who gets punked.
He's
They
the
think
guy
of the
that
guy
wins
who,
most of the time.
yeah,
But,
he
like, when
wins
he
and he
does-
punks
yeah.
Dwight.
But when he does get punked by Dwight, it's kind of like, oh, it's more of a heartfelt thing, and that's why I thought like, oh, okay, because it was like I think of that Snowball episode, and it's like,
Or
oh,
when
yeah,
he was
he's
up
in
against
fear.
Idris Elba.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be good. Mystique is the next one we have.
Another person, as we talked about off
Mm-hmm.
Mike, that I went through a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. This was a difficult one for sure.
I don't know how to say her last name, so I'm just gonna go for it. Carmen Yogo, who was in Alien Covenant.
Okay.
She's in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Oh yeah.
She's in that stupid movie, Roman Esquire, Roman Israel Esquire.
Mm-hmm.
This is her.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
And I figure once you don't, I mean, maybe as an actress she'd like to not have the makeup on, but
Right.
I think she's a good enough actress that you can have her play Mystique, and it's not like you don't have to always show her face, that she can get through the makeup a lot. And she's going to be switching into different people all the time anyway. So there's no, and I don't think, unless I'm wrong, I don't think Mystique is someone who was born one race or the other. She was just born blue. So
She's
it won't,
born
it would,
blue,
so it wouldn't matter.
very much like Nightcrawler, but she's
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, like European descent is where the lineage comes from for her and Nightcrawler, because Nightcrawler especially European, but Mystique.
Well, that was more a factor of where he was born and less a
Or, like,
factor of his
raised.
parentage.
Yeah. It's nature versus nurture at that
Yeah.
point. My choice for Mystique was Natalie Dormer.
You love casting a Natalie Dormer.
I do love casting Natalie Dormer, but because I can really, really see her playing this role really, really well.
That is a good move.
Toad is our next one,
Mm-hmm.
and I casted Guillermo Diaz.
You got some credits for this guy?
This is the guy from Weeds.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, I feel like he'd do a very, very good Toad.
Is he also in?
I feel like
like
he would
he's
make us
also
care
in
about that character a little
Half
bit more,
Baked.
too. Yes, he is.
Okay.
I feel like he could make us actually care about that character, because Toad has been just a throwaway character. It's just like, oh yeah.
Ray
whatever.
Park played him in the first one. He didn't even talk.
He didn't talk at all. He's just like, oh.
Wait, did
tongue.
he say? He said something. I guess. I don't know. It
Something
doesn't matter.
stupid.
He got
Park
electrified by
traditionally
Storm,
doesn't
though.
talk. But yeah, I feel like Guillermo Diaz has the acting ability and the range to actually make us
So
care
you
about him.
clearly saw Scandal and saw Guillermo Diaz again.
Yes, and
You were like,
Weeds.
hey, this guy.
And like he's got a lot like that. Those are the episodes I'm talking about. It's like, oh my god, when he gets his daughter back, I'm like, oh my god, I didn't realize you were capable of it. Because I like prior to that, my biggest recollection of him is from Weeds, and like from Weeds, I'm like, yeah, you can do the like hardcore stuff, and it's like really, really funny too because of the nature of the black comedy of Weeds. But then you see him in Scandal. That one episode I saw about him in Scandal and with Kerry Washington, I'm like, oh my god, he's my Toad. He would be good.
I went another way. I went less serious and went Kumail Nanjiani
Okay.
because I figured, he could be a fun little guy on the bad guys team that makes jokes and does crazy movements. Not that Kumail Nanjiani's like famous for crazy movements, but I feel like that'd be a nice role for him to have and continue to come back, and people look forward to seeing him on screen cracking jokes and doing bad guy things.
Yep.
So that's that for Toad.
The next guy we got is Sabretooth.
Yes.
Who'd you
Did
got?
you? Oh, it is me first on this one.
Yeah.
Aaron Staton, who is from Mad Men.
Okay.
I'll show you his picture. So I didn't go the bulky guy. I went the Liev Schreiber way of just a guy that you actually like in terms of acting style. I also think you could kind of see him going a bit crazy, but that's how he's looking now.
Okay.
He plays Ken on Mad Men. If people are really looking, he's also like the main person in LA Noire, even though everyone from Mad Men is in that video game. But LA Noire, he's like the guy, Cole Phelps, and he's Ken Cosgrove. Right. I want to say on Mad Men. Yeah, I figured if you wanted to go the route of their brothers, he looks close enough to Wyatt Russell,
Right.
and I could see them playing well off each other in terms of like jealousy and all that stuff. You don't have to go the brother route, but it's open to you based on their looks.
I do like the brother route, and that's why I casted Ryan Hurst, who is Opie from Sons of Anarchy. I feel like he and Tom Hardy would have that great dynamic to play off each other. Because I do love myself.
I do
Opie.
like Ryan Hurst as Sabretooth. That's a good look. I'm just thinking of him especially on
It's just his
Bates Motel. He seems so decrepit now, but
but I mean, like
the look. He's got the look.
He's got the look.
You went the other way with it. The
I went the
original
more
trilogy.
traditional method of what Sabretooth is supposed to be, because like I don't like the way they've handled Sabretooth in the X-Men franchise, which is why we're recasting. So Ryan Hurst, Opie from Sons of Anarchy, because he's very, very tall.
Remember the Titans,
Tom
but
Hardy.
I don't remember his name.
Don't
remember the Titans.
I don't remember ever watching
Everything comes back to Remember the Titans for me.
Rogue is next, and this is a character that I just didn't cast that well. Alexandra Daddario is what I cast.
Interesting.
Because I thought like it'd be interesting to push her to see a little bit more range than what she's been doing. But Alexandra Daddario is who I have as Rogue. Yeah.
Interesting.
Not thrilled about that choice personally, but
holy shit. Oh man, my pick is so good now that I see this picture. I picked Sierra Renee. Unfortunately, she was on Legends of Tomorrow as Hawkgirl, but I've seen her in Master of None, and I thought she was really cool.
Oh yeah.
And look at that gray streak she's got going through her hair already.
Oh wow. That is you're absolutely right. That's
I thought I get that part of her thing is Southern, but I wanted to try and go even maybe a little Latin X style with it. I think she's got the build for it.
That's a great choice.
That I wanted to avoid people who are like known specifically for their superhero stuff, but I couldn't help it. She's not on there anymore, from what I can tell. I haven't watched in a while, but I just thought, like, I remember her episode in Master of None. I think I've seen her in other stuff where I'm just like, I like her for this. Again, another character where I was like, man, I have so many people running through this casting, and then I just finished on her.
Right. The next person we got is Mr. Iceman.
Oh, it's me.
Yep.
So I picked Brandon Suhu, who, if you remember Tropic Thunder, he's the kid who fights everyone and like kicks everyone's ass. Trust me, he is grown now. He's not like, he doesn't look
so
like that
funny.
anymore.
No, that's the point of reference you want to bring. Like,
well, I don't know that people know. Like, if you look him up, it says Tropic Thunder. He's also he's in G.I. Joe. Who cares?
Who cares?
He's but he was on Community as well.
Yeah,
and he was great.
Yeah.
This is his look now. But I figured you'd need the like younger generation as well. So I had to cast that, like, as I said, like Storm kind of takes on that younger generation. Obviously, Professor X is dealing with the level of Jean Grey, Storm, Wolverine, and then you always look to that progression of who's coming up through the ranks. Right. So that's why I wanted to go a bit younger with Iceman. I know he is technically one of the original Disney, but I don't care.
And that's why I went older with mine, and of course not that much older, but still older. I went with Nick Cannon.
I almost went black with him.
But
you'll see what happens with Pyro.
Yeah, I was just like, Nick Cannon, I think, would be a great actor to play this role. Obviously, like Iceman, the original Iceman, they really didn't do too much with, but of course they
went more his relationship with Rogue.
Yes, absolutely.
Which I don't even know if that's in the comics, but it doesn't matter. It was whatever. It was fine.
Yeah, but just another kind of diversifying up that cast a little bit, because I mean, there's nothing inherently.
So he would be considered same tier as Wolverine, Jean Grey. Okay.
Oh yeah, well, he's an alpha. He's an alpha level mutant. He does some crazy stuff going forward. I mean, but yeah, I think Nick Cannon, having him a little bit older to match with the rest of the X-Men, one of the founding members, to be a little bit more comics accurate, but still giving our cast a little bit more diversity. Is definitely what I wanted to do, and I thought that was really, really fun to do.
Nick Cannon is Iceman.
Yeah. Colossus is next, and of course this is a little bit of a throwaway character. He doesn't really do anything significant in any of the X-Men ones, minus Deadpool, of course. He gets a little bit more significant, but I thought Tom Hooper was Dickon from Game of Thrones.
I gotta look up this guy's thing. This sucks because I just looked up my guy, but now I have to look up Tom Hooper.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm just a big fan of saying Dickon.
So is I don't remember anyone's name. It's been so long since I've had to do
a Game of Thrones podcast.
Yeah, that I do not remember.
Well, it looks like you won't get another one until next year.
Yeah.
But I mean, they
This
did
guy?
shoot the
Yeah,
biggest
this guy.
fight scene. Yeah, Dickon.
Okay, yeah.
He looks like Colossus to me.
Yeah, that's good. Now I have to remember the name of the guy I just put in there. Nope. It's here. I got it. Rafi Gavron.
Who is that?
So I remember him from this movie called, of course it's not in his What You Know Him From.
Mm-hmm.
This is bullshit. I can't believe this. There's something about him breaking and entering. Now, why is this? Breaking and Entering, his first movie. I think he's British, but he played like a Eastern European guy, so I know he can do the accent.
Yep.
Don't worry, I'll show you his picture because I feel like that's more important. But he's from Breaking and Entering. He's in Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, he does not have that many credits, but he's younger, so I figure based on what I want to do next.
Oh, yeah.
He's got that look that when he's not all metaled out,
Yeah.
you can kind of see how you might be like, oh, I guess he's Russian. I don't know. Who
Yeah.
knows? He's ambiguous enough in that way,
Right.
and I know he can do a similar kind of accent going into the film.
Yeah.
And he's more tied to the next. Is it the next character? But another character, and that's what it is the next character.
See, I went Tom Hooper just because he is actually a decently big guy already.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it.
All right. Kitty Pryde.
Kitty Pryde. I have Naomi Scott.
Interesting. I completely so that is Pink Ranger from Power Rangers,
correct.
Princess Jasmine.
Yep.
I just figured we should be giving credits if people want to look it up. Who do I have here? Sophia Lillis, who, if I remember correctly, because this is how I did it so long ago, is Beverly from It.
Okay.
Because the point of Kitty Pryde is she's young.
Yes.
Very young.
Very, very young.
And she falls in love with Colossus, and there's that storyline of him having to wait till she's of age, and that kind of thing. So I knew I had to go young with it, and she's obviously shown that she's got the chops to do it. I also feel like part of her thing is she's a redhead.
Yeah.
So I went redhead.
Sidebar,
with that.
she would be a great, like, Robin.
Yeah, Carrie.
Yeah.
What's it? Carrie Kelly?
Carrie Kelly's Robin for The Dark Knight Returns. Batman role.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic.
If they did it now, because I think she's aging out of it too.
Yes.
But she definitely has that look. And so, yeah, I think also it's important that she's Jewish. This is another character. Not that you have to get a Jewish actress. I'm just saying that plays into her character as well and how she's made up. So I didn't want to go too far out of there with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a fan of Naomi Scott. I was on board when I thought she may or may not have been Batgirl.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I would watch that.
I would watch that for sure.
But yeah, the Kitty Pryde thing. Oh man, I'm gonna hate having to say who Jubilee is because I don't know how to pronounce that last name.
Don't worry. When we get to Lady Deathstrike, I'm gonna butcher everything about that. Jubilee, is it me first or you first?
I'm assuming you.
Okay, it's Becky G, another Power Rangers alumni. She's Trini.
Yeah, keep those two together.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted Jubilee to be of Asian descent, like they've done for I feel like the last couple of movies. I don't remember. Was she was Asian in the first movie because she was just a deleted scene in the first
Yeah, she was
ever,
yeah.
and I feel like she was,
Correct.
and so I was just like, yeah, you know what, cool. So yeah, my person is Ashley Liao.
Okay.
Again, you want to go young because
Mm-hmm.
you know you got to have this up and coming. Because I feel like in the last movie or the original movie, they used Rogue as the Jubilee,
Yes,
and so
that was a big mistake.
yeah, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But if you want credits for Ashley Liao, she's on Fuller House right now.
Ew.
Not the best. I love Fresh Off the Boat, and if she is the character I
love
think
that.
she was. She was. I think she's in the episode where Eddie tries to pretend he has a Chinese girlfriend to impress his mom, and
Hey, I've been there.
yeah, I think that's her character,
That's
and
funny.
I feel like she's on a bunch of Disney shows, so she's got
She's got that young
experience. I don't know about chops. I've never
Yeah.
seen her unless I've obviously seen her in Fresh Off the Boat because I do not watch Fuller House.
Right.
But if she's able to hang with that cast, which I think is a fun cast, then I'm down.
Yep. All right. Juggernaut is next.
Yeah, this one is awkward because I don't
It's
know
really
if I
awkward.
have his name right.
Okay.
I think he's a wrestler. Oh, I just had a
Batista.
typo.
No, I'm joking.
I just had a typo. This I know. It's
Okay.
Cody Runnels. This guy.
Oh, okay.
I feel like he's been on Arrow.
Stardust's
Yes, that's the one.
younger sibling.
Yes.
Cody Rhodes.
Yes, that's
who it
that.
is.
That's why I was like, do I go with Cody Rhodes or his real name?
Right.
His real name is Cody Runnels.
Yep.
He seems like a cool guy.
Yeah.
Uh,
You haven't seen his wrestling arc then?
Nope, I
He's
don't
a-
watch wrestling. I just see him on on social media, and I'm
Yeah.
like, good for him.
Yeah.
Sticks up for the right things.
Yeah.
I like him as a person.
Yeah, he's a good person.
You know what? I
His-
don't know him.
His
So
character is a tool,
Yeah.
which is supposed to be the case. But for me, I should have chosen a wrestler because of just how inherently boneheaded Juggernaut is. But I just went Dominic Purcell because I was really hoping that
that's a good choice too.
I think
Again,
this-
we're talking about the guy from that plays the fire guy on Legends of Tomorrow
Correct.
and Flat
correct.
and Prison Break, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dominic Purcell, I think, would be good because he's got the acting chops from Prison Break and all that kind of stuff. But I thought it would be a little bit more interesting to have Juggernaut lean in a little bit more to the whole Professor Xavier stepbrother relationship that they have.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that would be really, really cool.
It does seem like a missed opportunity that they didn't get into that.
Totally missed opportunity that they didn't get into it because that's a huge, huge thing that I think is great. But Dominic Purcell as Juggernaut, I think would be really, really cool.
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler is next, and I have myself a little.
Oh, you're just gonna go right into it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna let me go first.
Oh,
I see. Go
is
for
it? Did I go first? I'm just losing track here.
Just
By
go
all
for it.
means,
Just
sirs.
go for it.
I have myself a little Ben Whishaw.
Oh, that guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I almost went that route.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I almost went Dexter. What's his name? Michael C. Hall.
Michael C. Hall?
Yeah, like just like
Oh,
a
really?
wispy white man. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I get what you're going for.
Yeah.
I went Dev Patel. I think you don't ever have
that
to.
would be cool.
You don't ever have to show him outside of the skin.
Yeah.
I figure if he can pull off an Australian accent in Lion, he can do something with his accent there.
Oh, yeah.
I know we've off
Take
mic,
a
and
hint,
I think
Sophie
this
Turner.
one. I feel like
Horrible.
when I hear what he did to get his accent in Lion,
Yeah.
I don't know how successful it was because I'm not around Australian people all the time. But I also know it was very specific to his situation,
Mm-hmm.
how he would get that accent. I feel like he would put in the same effort for this role
Oh, yeah.
and do a good job. I'm mostly just thinking of him in Lion because he's got the hair kind of, and I feel like it would look cool.
Yeah.
And I'd be into it.
Yeah. Ben Whishaw to me,
Q from
Q.
Skyfall.
From
Was he even Inspector?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I
don't-
think so.
Whatever.
That's the only thing I like him from.
Yeah.
Is that, and I guess he was in Atlas,
Yeah.
Cloud Atlas.
Yeah. I do like Ben Whishaw as like the scrawnier kind of. I think he would play the Nightcrawler role pretty well. Michael C. Hall. I just feel like he's.
Oh, I got rid of that. That wasn't my alternate. I'm just saying that's what I started with.
Okay.
And then
Oh,
I
that's what
came
you
down
started
to
with.
Dev
Oh, I see.
Patel.
I see. I got you. Yeah, Ben Whishaw, Nightcrawler. That's what I wanted. Anyways, Pyro.
Okay.
Your turn.
Uh,
I just hand gestured.
Thank-
Dan.
oh, I saw.
Was
Jacob Lattimore.
Who is that?
He's like new Nick Cannon. I
New
don't know.
Nick Cannon.
I don't know.
So
I'll
Mariah
show you.
Carey's
He's in the Maze
new
Runner
boy toy.
movies.
Okay.
He is on The Shy right now.
Oh yeah.
He was in this movie. Oh, with the girl from A Wrinkle in Time, where he like was magic or something.
Sure.
I didn't watch it.
I didn't.
I
watch
wanted
Wrinkle in
to,
Time.
but he like played this superhero
was
magician
he? Yeah.
called Slight. Well, he wasn't called Slight, but the movie was called Slight.
Right.
Yeah, sure, he can be Pyro. I don't care about Pyro. I don't know. Like he's usually a villain, right? But
Yeah.
I figured you could still have him kind of start on one side and get
To be a switch.
switched over,
Yeah.
and you can create some drama there with Iceman Jubilee of them being like, "Oh man, what are you doing?"
The
You're
love triangle there.
no, I
Not
meant
joking.
more of like,
I'm
"Yo,
so
we're in this
joking.
together.
Yeah.
Get it? What are you doing, man?" And then him
Yeah.
being like, I'm doing it." And I do that. I don't like usually having me like, and then the black guy is weak and turns bad. But I feel like
Right.
when you think of Magneto as a Malcolm X,
Yes.
that plays into it kind of
Correct.
in terms of him being like, you know what? No, I'm tired of turning the other cheek
Mhm.
and wanting to be more active than
Yes.
reactive.
Um,
That was how I've made him more interesting to myself.
Yeah, the only actor that I thought that could do that very, very well, to play that character arc very, very well, is Aaron Paul. Now, the issue of getting Aaron Paul to play Pyro is that Pyro is not that interesting of a character, but Aaron Paul could do the acting
Mhm.
of it. And it's a little bit more traditional to that. And yeah, just Aaron Paul playing Pyro. That's it. That's all I can really say.
It's nice.
Yeah, that's all I really have.
Beast.
Yeah, Beast is next. Not okay. Beast is next. All right, I've got Mr. David Harbour.
Wow,
From Stranger
our
Things.
actors have the same names. Yeah, again, I wanted to avoid people who are already tied up in. You know what? I skipped over one, but we'll get to it
Yeah.
after this. Yeah, I wanted to. He's obviously doing Hellboy right now,
Yes.
so there was no need to tie him down in two makeup-filled roles.
Absolutely.
But yeah, David Harbour's a good one. He's got that warmth.
Mhm.
He could probably do that part of it.
Absolutely.
I went David Oyelowo, who
Oh, okay.
was obviously in Selma as Martin Luther King, speaking of.
Right.
And he was just recently in Cloverfield Paradox.
Mm.
I feel like everyone knows who David Oyelowo is at this point,
Yes.
but I wanted to make sure you knew that I knew who he was.
Yeah.
Playing Beast, hanging upside down, being smart, and I would want him to use his British accent because I don't know that it matters where he comes from.
I don't think it matters.
It
but
matters that he
apparently
wants
the
to
character
fix-
history is American, I believe.
Yeah, but I feel
But I
like
don't
it's
think
more
it
that he
matters,
wants to fix himself, and it goes horribly wrong.
Correct. Yeah.
I feel like that's the important part of Beast,
Yes.
and I would like David Oyelowo to do that.
Mm-hmm. I just feel David Harbour really, really embodies that like age, that like calmness to it, and that strength behind that character when it needs to be. Just purely off Stranger Things.
Yeah.
It definitely has that. The character
Lady
next
Deathstrike.
is Lady Deathstrike. Who you got?
Grace Park.
Grace Park.
I'll show you a picture.
All right.
No, I will. She was in Battlestar Galactica. She's currently on Hawaii Five-0.
Okay.
Oh, she was in that amazing movie that I really like, Romeo Must Die. But this is Grace Park.
Oh yeah.
I feel like she does action on
I do
Hawaii
love
Five-0.
Romeo Must Die. That is one
Yeah,
of my
I
favorite
love that
movies.
movie.
It's a great
I just
movie.
wrote about it. It was great.
It's so good. Such a good
Unfortunately, she's just listed as Asian dancer. But it must mean that she was in that scene with DMX.
with DMX in the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it must be.
She's been on American Dad, but I can't imagine anyone would recognize her from that. I think her big thing here is Hawaii Five-0.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got myself a little Rinko Kikuchi. I
Is that
don't know
the
if I'm
woman
pronouncing that properly.
from the Wolverine?
No, there's a woman from Pacific Rim
Oh, her. Yeah.
playing Pacific Rim 1, playing opposite Charlie Hunnam.
She's in the second one.
Is she in the second one?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen
She's
the
John
second one.
Boyega's sister
Oh, interesting.
by birth.
By birth. What?
Of course
No, I'm
not.
joking.
No, she is his sister, though.
Okay, very cool. I'd
uh,
be yeah, that's interesting. But Rinko Kikuchi to me is a strong contender for Lady Deathstrike.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Definitely wanted that. And of course, our last character to cast is Angel.
Yes.
Am I going first or you going first?
You go first. I said Grace Park
Oh,
first.
yeah, that's right. I have Mr. Edward Holcroft.
Who?
Holcroft.
Who?
Holcroft. Who's the British villain guy from The Kingsman. The guy that was playing,
He's like, he comes back at the second one right at the beginning,
Yes.
and he's like, I'm metal, baby.
Yeah, he's like, I'm all metal. I'm all
And
steel.
Vampire Academy. Interesting.
Yeah. I think this guy is, he can do the whole like, oh yeah, I'm this, but like he can do both roles, and then ultimately, if they switch him to Archangel, he can be a villain, and very clearly from Kingsman. So I thought like this guy's got the range. He's got that kind of hoity-toity, like pristine.
Because he's got to be rich.
Look.
He's got to be fancy.
He's coming from.
He comes
a
from
privilege.
money, baby.
Yeah, he comes from privilege, and that's what Edward Holcroft just exuberates to me.
I went against the privilege aspect, or at least
really?
old money.
Right.
I still felt like the removed thing, because I've seen him in the cartoons, but I haven't really spent time with Angel or Archangel. I went. I don't know how to pronounce these people's names. Is it Rami or Rami Malek from Mr. Robot?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
the guy who is, spoilers, Mr. Robot.
He's got the cheekbones to play that. Like,
I just see him as being a little bit removed, and as I see him interacting with the other characters, like I could see him easily doing that. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see.
I just wanted a little more of a diverse cast, and I was trying to fit him in as Nightcrawler,
So
and then I couldn't. And then when I realized I don't care
to
about
me,
Angel.
there's
Here's an interesting actor who might be doing something interesting with it.
Yeah. A lot of the casting choices that I made were in contention with the new Hollywood. What was it? The
inclusion
writer inclusion or
inclusion writer.
Inclusion writer. So trying to cast more LGBTQ, differently abled people, and of course people of color in different roles. But the difficulty behind some of these characters is their backstory makes it inherently so that you can't. It's more difficult to racially recast. So if Angel, like to me, Edward Holcroft would have made sense. Makes the most sense. But if we were to say, okay, well, this guy comes from a place of privilege, I can easily look at the Middle Eastern cast from like Saudi oil money or something.
Well,
like
I'm
that.
saying he could read as half something.
Yes, absolutely.
And he does have that thing with his dad. So if his dad is the white person in that relationship, it's still. I guess it just makes him more. It makes him more interesting because there's more things to lean into in terms of, well, how did he get where he was, and how is he still lining up with what I know as Angel?
Absolutely. All right, there you have it. Our list of X-Men recast for the MCU going forward for Phase 4. Should they do any of this?
Or just going forward.
Yeah.
Whatever happens. It doesn't seem like
well, I mean, 18 months
Dark Phoenix is going to light up
delay.
the screen.
No.
So.
And New Mutants is definitely under some trouble because they're... Well, I mean, they test screened it, and they said it wasn't scary enough.
Yeah.
Was the response that the audience gave. And so it's like, oh,
The
interesting.
thing they've said that I agree with now with test screenings, it's awkward, right? Like you get some people in there, if they know what they're going to, maybe they're just going to like it no matter what. But the ultimately, once you start badgering people for what should you change, you start getting people
force them to change
feeling
stuff,
like, well, I guess change this.
Yeah.
And that might not actually be representative of how they feel. That might just be like, well, I guess I have to answer because you showed me a free movie.
Yes.
And I've heard actually some people be like, wait, they still do that? Why are they still doing test screening? Like filmmakers, not people like us just thinking about it. I think, we've gotten to a point where we've proven that like it's the intellectual property that sells it. So it's not like you don't need Scarlett Johansson in Ghost in the Shell, because Ghost in the Shell sells Ghost in the Shell.
Yes.
Just like the actual characters of the Avengers sell the Avengers, not necessarily the actors. And if the actors do, it's because the characters got you in the door with them.
Yeah. I think the difficulty with the test screenings is that what they're ultimately trying to do is make these movies more applicable and appealing to the general population.
Well, yeah, there's a
as opposed to the
4-quadrant thing you have to
fan.
deal with.
Yeah.
But I think asking questions like "What would you change?" doesn't get at that.
No, it doesn't. It forces people to force them to critic. Because a lot of these people that are not fans of these franchises already, and if they watch it, it's more they're just going to sit there passively. Oh, but okay, cool,
Yeah,
kind of deal. They're not people like us who are critically looking at this and being like, "Oh my god, how dare you cast this person as this person?" Or like, "Could you explain to me why this happened?" Like that kind of stuff. It's a difficult situation because when you force people like, so what would you change? Especially people that are not experienced filmmakers, you're just like, why am I? To me, it's like making a restaurant decision based on Yelp reviews.
The customer's always right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's nonsense.
No, that was disproving your point, by the way. Yeah. Anyway, let's wrap this up.
Yep.
It's been a great episode, action packed. We had a great time.
Yep.
Thank you for listening.
Tweet at us, write at us.
Yeah, if you want to tweet at us individually, I'm at the Young Guard on Twitter.
Yep.
Ben is at DM Platypus.
Yep.
I am, and as a team, we are at TDF Spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also find us on dorkshelf.com.
Correct.
That's our new home. And if you want to see old episodes that predate the Dork Shelf episodes, then go to tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten, and you'll get everything. Yeah. There's no paywall, but it makes it seem like there is one. But there is not. Yep. It's all there for free.
It's all trickery.
Or subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play.
That's right.
There's a bunch of options. But if you want to review, please do it on iTunes because that actually helps. So if you rate us and review us there. Those are all the ways to get us. And
of course, our next episode is, of course...
Let's not promise anything. I know
it is Infinity War. All right, guys. You have yourselves a lovely, lovely day and week, or, whatever period of time floats your boat. And we will be back to talk about Infinity War.
Have a great sleep, Patrick. Goodbye.
Cheers.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.